Let's hit the field. You already know about base care and safety, so let's take a look at what you'll need to maintain the area around the bases. For these on-field tasks, you'll need an anchor dig-out tool, anchor plugs, an iron rake, and a grooming rake or level board. Anchor plugs? What are those for? Anchor plugs are important for two reasons. First, they make sure your base anchor doesn't fill up with soil or get buried when you're dragging your field. And second, they make it easier to locate the anchor after dragging. When installed correctly, the anchor plug should sit just below grade. If it sits too high, a field drag will catch it. If the anchor plug is not able to sit below grade, use a dig-out tool to remove soil that may have built up inside the anchor. You'll also want to use the dig-out tool to clear out any soil before installing the base. Click on the images at right to see the various types of anchor plugs and their proper installation. First, remove the base by wiggling it slightly and pulling straight upward. Using your dig-out tool, remove any loose soil inside the anchor. Then insert the anchor plug so it sits below grade. There's a lot that goes on around the bases. Infielders covering a base, base runners taking leads, players sliding into the base. With all of that going on, the area around the bases needs some extra attention. First, you want to cut down any built-up soil under and around the base. Soil can be forced up under the base, especially at second and third. This soil buildup can cause the base to sit awkwardly and can result in a misshapen base that's hazardous to runners. Use an iron rake to cut these areas down. Watch the video on the next slide for a demonstration of how this is done. Remove the base or anchor plug and set it aside. Then, using an iron rake, forcefully rake the area around the base to level out the soil under and around the base. When you're done, replace the base or anchor plug. Soil is naturally displaced by base runners, sliding or taking leads. Using a level board or grooming rake, pull that soil back into place to repair low areas around each base. Click the images at right for more information about the areas prone to soil displacement. Now that you've taken care of the areas around the bases, installing the base is pretty straightforward. Simply locate the anchor plug, remove it, and dig out any loose soil. Then slip the stanchion of the base into or over the anchor until it makes contact with the infield skin. If the base is installed properly, there will be some rotational play. Rotational play makes sure the stanchion will not wedge inside the anchor. Wedging can occur when soil is not properly removed from the anchor, and that can make it difficult to remove the base later. Watch the video on the next slide so you have an idea of what is expected for rotational play. After installing the platform of a breakaway base, gently grab the corners and rotate back and forth to make sure that there is adequate rotational play to prevent wedging with the base anchor. When you're ready, install the cover. To make sure you have the base properly seated, again, grab the corners of the base and rotate. This time, you're checking to make sure the base doesn't easily pop off its anchor. If it pops off easily, you'll need to cut down some of the soil under and around the base. To do this, place the anchor plug back into the anchor and use a sharpened iron rake to cut down the soil, making sure you have an even surface with no high or low spots. When you can install the base with all four sides making full contact with the ground, you are ready to check again to see if the base easily pops off. Continue checking and reworking the soil until your base is properly seated. Watch the video on the next slide for a demonstration of base installation.
All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take this base plug and pull this out of the way. So I'll take my dig out tool, separate that out. Now, first of all, you'll notice here, you can see this is the top of that base anchor. It's sitting down roughly about 3/4 of an inch below grade. We do that so a nail drag won't come along here and catch that. If you take this anchor and have it right at the surface, chances are your nail drag over time is going to catch that time and time again and bend the nails in your nail drag. But in the meantime, we got to dig out an anchor, and there's some dirt in here. So we're going to peel out this top dressing and infield soil. Sometimes what I like to do is I'll clean this whole area out right around where the anchor is, so that next time I put my base plug in to protect it, it sits really nice and even, okay, and sits down below grade so that the nail drag won't catch it. Now we'll slip this base in. All right, the anchor's clear, the stanchion slides right in nice and freely, and the base sits nice and flat all the way around on the edge. Perfect fit.
The most important thing to remember with base alignment is that the entire base at first and third base should be in fair territory. Assuming your foul lines have been chalked correctly, the outer edge of the base should align with the outside or foul edge of the foul line. Click the images at right for examples of properly aligned bases. Congratulations! You've made it through all of the material covered in this lesson related to bases. Before moving on to another lesson, take the pop quiz to make sure you have a good understanding of this lesson. If you need to refresh your memory, just use the numbered tabs above to skip around to review any topics you're unsure about.